After leaving Christianity and fundamentalist churches, I realized that the fundamentalist church's doctrine supports the teaching that people of the opposite sex should not hug, dance, or make intimate touch a normal thing, and it's quite frowned upon. If you've ever seen the movie Footloose, and I liked it back when I was in my 20s, it's a story about a very conservative religious community that forbids people to dance because they think that it's going to make young people fornicate. And over the course of the movie, the Kevin Bacon character gets the town to accept that certain behavior doesn't lead toward lawlessness, but for a heightened morale. And it's very true. When you're in fundamentalist churches that very much frown on hugging, any kind of PDA, dancing, anything that is considered intimate partner behavior, it's very much frowned upon. And I grew up in Southern Baptist churches, very traditional. They actually would frown on fiancés, engaged people, actually showing very benign PDA. Holding hands was really the extent of what was even allowed in Southern Baptist churches. Every denomination of Christianity, Protestantism, and Catholicism have all had their views on hugging, PDA, or a simple dance, even with or without pop music involved. Puritan, evangelical fundamentalists, Southern Baptist, Shakers, and African American denominations have historically had issues with or discouraging dancing. This is often tied to the interpretation of worldliness, temptation, and the use of the physical body. While these denominations may have issues with dancing, some Catholic and Orthodox communities have concerns over specific types of dancing during worship that are not considered reverent or too similar to secular forms of entertainment. When it comes to hugging, there may or may not be a ban or an expectation on hugs or PDA, and it's not a tenet of any specific denomination. It's not generally considered a positive or a negative thing. And as long as people are not at the age of having certain physical urges, or there's no possibility of these people being attracted to each other, nobody cares if you hug. They just don't. And it's interesting how denominations like Puritanism, evangelical, fundamentalists, Southern Baptists, Shakers, just have an issue. Some Catholics have cautioned against certain types of dancing in church, and other Orthodox prohibits dancing between unmarried men and women in congregation. The issue is, have these denominations even read the Old Testament? Because I can think of a dozen instances where somebody danced to celebrate, to show their history. People danced in the Old Testament to welcome visitors. I mean, the only dance in the entire Bible that made me very uncomfortable was when, I think her name was Salome, danced seductively in front of her father. That made me uncomfortable, even as a teenager. I thought it was entirely inappropriate. But not because she was dancing or having fun. It's because she was trying to elicit a very inappropriate response from somebody she considered an authority figure. I have no personal opinions about dancing. As long as everyone's consenting, enjoying their experience, and your partner does not care if you're doing it, I have no opinion. If you or your partner doesn't feel comfortable with this kind of thing, have a conversation. People and denominations that have an issue with hugging, PDA, or any kind of physical touch, it all comes down to an inaccurate or making any kind of physical intimacy, platonic, familial, or romantic, as something weird. It all comes down to modesty, touch. You never want to give the idea that you're doing something wrong. It doesn't matter if what you're doing is entirely innocent or just having a good time. There will always be people in every institution, especially if it's patriarchal or religious, that can't see anything but sexual when it comes to just having a good time. That's why certain denominations in Christianity doesn't like rock music, D&D, and dancing. They don't want people to have fun, and they don't know how to understand the difference between having consent and something that isn't okay. There's something insidious about the way fundamentalist Christians in any branch of any religion, if you have a problem with two people dancing who are not hurting anybody, who are consenting, having a good time, and nothing is bad is going on, you are a danger to any vulnerable person, a woman, a child. If you can't tell the difference between a consensual dance between married people, unmarried people, you are a danger to other people. There is no group of people that Christianity, fundamentalist Baptist people, view anyone doing anything that is completely normal, natural, and expected. They don't even have a group of what to call consensual behavior. They actually lump in crime, creepy behavior with consensual, fun behavior. And I made a video about this. If you can't tell the difference between inappropriate, unconsensual behavior and two people, regardless of their age and background, as long as everything is legal, they consent, they're having fun, and if they're in a relationship with somebody, as long as their partner is fine with it and they have boundaries, I don't care what people do. But tying somebody's worth, value, purity, and social standing to how people dance, hug, or wear anything near the front area of your body is utter ridiculousness. I grew up in Southern Baptist, and I've heard stories about women who grew up in Jehovah's Witness and Mormonism. They don't believe a woman should wear anything tight. They don't believe women should wear flattering garments. And there's never a conversation. They don't tell men to go home and wear something less tight. They just don't. A man can wear nothing but a, what do they call those things? Spandex Speedo. And nobody finds it sexual or that there's a problem. If a woman wears anything without sleeves or anything considered beachwear, they immediately have a problem. Just because somebody is wearing something does not mean they're wearing it to get a rise out of anybody. The majority of women on this planet wear clothes to boost their self-confidence. They like it. They think they look good in it. That's why women wear certain clothing. Now, there are women out there that will wear certain garments to attract I don't like to say the word, but we call them the bad boy types. As long as everything is consensual and nobody is in any harm's way, I don't care why people wear clothing. I just don't. And it's not just dancing or hugs. It goes into what kind of things you wear and what you wear and where you wear it. I took a class in learning about dress codes in Jehovah's Witness and Mormon denominations. They have a problem with girls wearing a messenger bag over their shoulder and around their chest area. How you wear your clothing has nothing to do with sex at all. I mean, if you want to make it that, you can. But a woman wearing a messenger bag over her shoulder and right between her chest area, there's nothing wrong with that. The idea that women dress for men is utterly misogynistic. There's only one reason why women wear messenger bags over their front chest area. Because that's how you're mainly supposed to wear it. And yeah, there are women out there that can wear it over the shoulder, kind of like a purse. But not everybody does that. We need to stop sexualizing people under the age of 18. Because it's weird. And it's very predatory. It's creepy. And anyone who looks at a 15-year-old girl wearing something over her front chest area and thinks it as sexual, I don't want anywhere near kids. Dress codes are utterly misogynistic. Girls are 3 times more likely to be sent home than a boy. Because people don't see a male body 1/10 as sexual as they do a woman's. And when you're in these high control religions, the reason why they don't want you dancing, hugging, and living your life is because they care more about your image and how dusty, sexually repressed people are going to take your behavior than they do about your comfort and consent. There is nothing sexual about wearing your clothes. And anyone who thinks that somebody is sexual just based on what they wear is creepy. It's just creepy. Girls should be able to wear anything they want and feel safe, respected, and protected, even though women have to protect themselves. But these fundamentalist churches, the traditional conservative churches, they care more about who a woman is hugging than if it's consensual, loving, and legal. And why is that? The church has always policed people. They have to police people because there wouldn't be religious hypocrisy and religious repression if they didn't. As long as people are obeying the law, getting consent, I don't care who's dancing with whom. And if people care how somebody holds something or how somebody carries a messenger bag or a purse, that's creepy. It's creepy. And very few people ever talk about it. Anytime we had a sermon in Southern Baptist and fundamentalist churches about modesty, we never talked about how men view women as temptations, how they don't view women as equal, autonomous, and beyond how their body looks. The idea that men are visual creatures dehumanizes men and doubly dehumanizes women. The idea that all men choose a woman based on how she looks is utterly shallow. If you love someone based on how they look, it's shallow. And love isn't about how someone looks. That's what we call attraction. And there's nothing wrong with finding someone attractive. But fundamentalist Christians will find a way to make that attraction a sin. You don't have to look very far. It's who they are. They can't help themselves. And they can't allow a woman to wear whatever she wants, like they allow men to do whatever they want. And sometimes they'll even break the law to allow a man to do what he wants. The issue is, the PDA is perfectly fine. Hugging, as long as you consent and your partner is okay with it, who cares? Who cares what music you listen to? And who cares how people see each other? And if you're the kind of person that sees something and immediately thinks bad of somebody, you need some internal self-reflection. We're supposed to think positively about people, especially if you're in Christianity. I think a lot of fundamentalist Christians, either they aren't aware of what the Bible says, or they conveniently forget it. 1 Corinthians 13, love thinks no evil of other people. So when people immediately jump to something inappropriate when they see people doing normal things, you kind of wonder if these people have your best interests in mind. People are innocent until proven guilty. Not in church, though. There's no such thing as innocent until proven guilty in church. And if you're a woman, you are responsible for all the honor of every man in the church. We need to stop viewing women as temptations and conquests and see them as human beings. And yeah, there are people that use dancing and pop music to prey on people. But that's not the music and that's not the dance problem. And anyone who thinks anything makes somebody promiscuous doesn't have a clue how biology works. When society makes you wait 10 years longer than when most people discover anatomy and have an interest in things, not everybody, but a significant amount of people, Christians make people wait so much longer than what's normal. They have to put their desire somewhere. And there's nowhere in church you can put it. If you're not married, anything sexual is villainized. And if you're married, if you're not having what they want you to be doing, then you're out of luck. But yeah, churches do teach its members that things like hugging and dancing or dressing in any way is overtly sexual. And when you are that sexually repressed, you will think anything normal is sexual. And you will combine crimes and pervy, creepy behavior in with normal, natural, consensual things. And no, you can wear whatever you want, as long as where you are does not have legitimate rules, even though I don't agree with dress codes. And as long as the person you're hugging is okay with it, and their partner is okay with it, I don't care what anyone has to say about it. It's nobody's business. And the reason why fundamentalists harp on any appearance of evil, don't do these things, it's because they're afraid of people making their own choices. They're terrified of females having autonomy, independence, and being an equal. These groups of people, they don't see women as an equal partner. They see them as a lure to tempt them away from what their denomination and religion expects of them. And it's ironic that these men want to be in charge. They want to have the responsibility and the perks and privileges until they have to take accountability. And then they were never in charge. They were led away by a young woman who happens to be the age of 12. This is the kind of environment that creates pervs. If you can't see a woman and think of her in a respectful, valued way, she's not ever the problem. You are. And your religion is probably the problem too.